All right, and good morning. Today I have the pleasure of having Vicki Haddow with me. She's been a realtor for 5 years, going through some really crazy industry times through the COVID times. She is chair of the YPM at the Realtor Association and now one of the lead salesmen at the Akoya Residences. Welcome, Vicki.
Thanks for having me, Jim. I'm excited to be
Oh,
here.
it's my pleasure. Fantastic. So let's talk about the Akoya and what sets this development maybe apart in terms of lifestyle and community experience compared to others in the area and what it's going to bring to that lifestyle on the Suncoast.
Sure. So I'm really excited about this project. I think it is kind of a refreshing price point for our market. If you're looking at new construction
Hmm.
condos in our downtown Sarasota area, you're looking at entry prices of about $2 million.
Right.
And the nice thing about this is you are only a few minutes north of downtown. And it's really becoming such a sweet spot in our area, just because of that access to downtown. You're less than
Hmm.
5 minutes to get to all the restaurants and you know the Bay Project, where there's yoga on the lawn on Saturdays and just
Hmm.
nice walks to take. So that's really awesome. And then, I mean, the beaches are always such a nice part of our area. So, you're less than 15 minutes to get to Lido. You're about 20 minutes to get to Siesta. And then you can
Hmm.
even go north to Bradenton Beach and Anna Maria really easily as well. And then another nice point of connection is we're just south of University Parkway, which has really become like a main corridor now for our
Hmm.
town. And you can shoot over to University Town Center, within 15 minutes, and you've got the mall and a lot of great restaurants and options over there as well. So I
Yeah, I
think
think
that's
you have like within 30 minutes of northeast and south is just about everything on the Suncoast, and then west is the beach. So it's kind of
yeah,
hard to go wrong with that.
yeah, and definitely closer than 30 minutes too. So it's really
Yeah,
kind
and
of a
that
sweet
whole
spot.
area is being revitalized too as they go through and rebuild and clean it up. Van Wezel's got big projects going on, so a lot in that area.
Yeah, so that whole North Tamiami Trail section is seeing like a whole reshaping, which is really exciting. Um, because once you fly into Sarasota, Sarasota's uh, really expanding too, and
Hmm.
so our airport's growing, and there's not really much between the airport and getting to downtown. So I feel like the city is making a push to really, you know, see a change in that North
Hmm.
Tamiami Trail because that's people's first experience when they come into
Sure.
Sarasota, and it hasn't exactly been the best until you get to downtown and the beaches. So um,
Hmm.
I'm really
Kind
excited
of
about
a
seeing
yeah,
this.
kind of a forgotten area. I know the downtown's gone that revitalization over the last 20 years now, and it's amazing
Yeah,
the
and even
changes we've
within like
seen.
the last 5 or 6 years, we've really seen like a cool transition with our downtown Sarasota. And then it's like anywhere else that you want new, and whether it's amenities or things like that, you really have to go out east. And
Hmm.
so it's not like that heart of Sarasota that we know of, the beaches and that type of cultural environment that we get.
Hmm.
So that's why it's kind of exciting that they're seeing like a reshaping, let's call it, of this North Trail. And, along with that, there's always been an established neighborhood west of the trail with Indian Shores,
Hmm.
Sapphire Beach, uh, that nice neighborhood there. So, it's really just elevating that space. And then you also have the Ringling School of Art and Design that's been in that area for a long time. And it's a
Right.
really reputable art school here in town, and they are building a really amazing new academic structure as well that's coming on to 41. And then a few of those parcels of land have already been bought for future
Hmm.
development. So it's really just going to elevate that space in North Tamiami Trail, which I think also just makes Akoya such a phenomenal
Right.
opportunity at this time.
The next 2 to 3 to 5 years is going to be really a huge transition all the way up that stretch.
Yeah, and actually, the city does have like a vision for what that North Tamiami Trail looks like, and so I think it really will become like a downtown corridor overall. But
Hmm.
they do want to widen the sidewalks there to make it a more walkable area with, more restaurants. And then there's even talks about bringing a roundabout to Myrtle, which we've seen those roundabouts come into play in some of our downtown areas just to kind of slow the traffic and make the areas more walkable. So
Right.
that's all kind of that vision too for North Tamiami Trail, which is quite exciting.
Fantastic. What variety of living options are going to be available here?
What type of living options?
Yeah.
So Akoya is a condo building. It's going to be 4 stories with 51 condos altogether. And that living starts on the first level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a really nice mix of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and then there are 2 different floor plans for our 3-bedroom units as well.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about those. So 1 and 2 bedrooms, are they going to be interspersed among all the floors? Is there a design or kind of a theme that they're thinking of when they set this up?
Yeah, so the majority of the building is going to be 2 bedrooms. There's 36 2 bedrooms altogether and 8 1-bedrooms in the building. And so the 2 bedrooms, you could either be east facing or west facing in the building. Most of our 1-bedrooms are west facing units. There's 2 per floor in the building for the 1-bedrooms.
Okay.
Really nice layout for the 1-bedroom. That's 851 square feet. And in that living space, it's open living with all our floor plans. But in the 1-bedrooms, you also have a closet with a washer and dryer as well. All really nice finishes. Again, the finishes kind of go throughout the 1s, 2s, and 3s. So stone countertops, like the sleek waterfall edge island in the kitchen, really nice high ceilings. They're just over 9.5 feet on floors 2, 3, and 4. And then on the first level, they're actually a little bit taller. They're closer to 10 feet or just over 10 feet.
Okay.
And then really nice feature as well is all the units do have balconies. And so I believe they're 8-foot sliders, but impact glass as well. So, all that nice new construction features with build, and then also, interiors as well. Like they're very modern and contemporary looking.
Okay. Can you share maybe some starting prices for homes in the development and different pricing levels for east or west facing?
Sure. So currently it is September. Maybe it'll be September when this gets released. I'm not sure how this
Right.
new to podcasting, but so we're still in that initial phase of selling. And so with new construction projects, the best time to get into a building is in this pre-construction selling phase. Once we sell out of these units, the prices will go up from here, as you typically see in these projects. So we are limited on our 1-bedrooms. We currently have a 3rd floor 1-bedroom at around $442,000.
Okay.
And then our 2-bedrooms that we have available, these range from 1st floor east facing up to 4th floor west facing. And you'll find those in a range from $588,000 up to $735,000, depending on floor and exposure. And then we only have a few 3-bedrooms in this release, and those are roughly in like the mid 800s.
Okay.
And then what's really nice about new construction is our monthly fees are really reasonable. And, if you've been looking at resale condos recently, you've seen those monthly fees like really shoot up in price. And so for our 1-bedrooms, you're going to be just under $350 a month for those condo fees. The 2-bedrooms are just under $500, and the 3-bedrooms are just under $600 a month.
Wow, that's not bad. And the west facing is water view? Or close to it?
Might have water views from the 4th floor, but we're not guaranteeing that.
Okay.
So you'll be facing the neighborhood that's there.
Right. Okay.
And you're about a 10 to 15 minute walk to the Sunset Park. That's part of that Indian Shore Sapphire Beach neighborhood.
So when we look at the whole building, what amenities is the development going to provide? Pools, gyms, community centers, And then obviously we know kind of what we talked about now that's going to be around it, but what within the building itself.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a really nice saltwater pool on the south side of the building. Um, Saltwater, I think I said that, but with a nice like paved deck with lounge chairs. There's gonna be a fire pit and a grilling station out there as well. And what's really nice is that will take you into our social lounge that will
Hmm.
be set up with internet and Wi-Fi. But you could also choose to rent that out if you were gonna have a party, you know,
Hmm.
for family or friends. You can rent that out so then it's private and you would have that space as well. And then there's also a really nice fitness center too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is the ideal buyer or resident for this community?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I mean, right now, the buyers we have under contract, I would say kind of range, honestly.
Right.
Like there hasn't been a
Okay.
specific um, demographic, but I think it's a nice welcoming price point to our market. So a little bit of that young professional buyer could
Right.
definitely, buy into Akoya. You could also have, your second home buyer as well.
Hmm.
Just because Sarasota Airport is so close. And then, you know, you're easily within everything that you would need for when you want to come and experience that Sarasota lifestyle in the building as well. And then, we really thought we'd have some more investor buyers just because we
Hmm.
have a flexible rental policy. That hasn't been so much the case. It seems to be people that want to live here, whether it's
Oh,
full
that's good.
time
Yeah.
or part time.
I mean, when you look at the area and the lifestyle, whether it's somebody moving down here for their job and profession, families in the area that want to move over and be able to be on the coast, so you're going to get a nice mix of everybody coming in
Yeah.
without being, hey, everybody in here's from up north and they're gone or whatever. You'll have the whole gamut of what
Yeah,
we
you might
have
have
down here.
Northeast, like people in Florida moving from the
Hmm.
other coasts, things like that. Maybe a little less families just because that doesn't seem to be like the demographics of the condo market,
Right.
but more that like, I guess a younger
Hmm.
family that maybe doesn't have kids quite yet, or like the grandparents that,
Right.
maybe want to have the 3 bedrooms for when they do have family come into town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you outline the construction timeline for completion and like when and will it be fully ready?
So we're hoping to have it ready by the end of 2025. It should be about a 16-month build time, I believe.
Okay.
Uh, the developers have this all worked out. I can't exactly
Right.
remember like the exact terms of it, but it's fairly a simple construction build. And then also we do have different design packages for the condos, but it's not fully customizable. So that
Okay.
also, helps with that delivery time as well.
Right. Right. Well, let's look at that. What can they customize? What are some of the options, and what is it that you're setting up as the standard for this area or for this build?
So honestly, our standard kitchen is a really nice looking kitchen with all white cabinets, like
Hmm.
still stone countertops with the waterfall edge island. So standard is a really good quality, but you could choose to upgrade the kitchen package and then that changes your color scheme. And it also then moves like your oven and microwave to the wall
Hmm.
instead of having it in the counter.
Okay.
Um, that's kind of one of the changes with the kitchen upgrades. And then you could also change the flooring.
Okay. What are the options on the flooring?
So it's the luxury vinyl would be standard, and then you can upgrade to porcelain tile or like the engineered hardwood.
Okay. How is a developer supporting homeowners after the sale, including warranties or ongoing maintenance?
That's a great question. So we talked about like the monthly fees being
Hmm.
relatively low. The developers are guaranteeing those fees because a lot of times people have come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what you tell us now, but we know
Right.
once it closes, there're going to be a huge jump in the fees." Well, we've seen a big change in our insurance market too, which has, been one of the reasons for those changes in the
Hmm.
condo fees. But we're living through those times now and it hasn't been built. So new construction is definitely going to have the best premiums for insurance. And
Yeah, that's a good advantage coming out of the build of having everything up to speed. And I would assume then that's the milestone. You're starting off where everybody else is trying to catch up to.
yeah, or like if a building was built maybe in 2020, 21, like during
Right.
those sales, like the insurance premiums looked a lot different to what they are now. So sometimes like you've seen those jump mainly
Hmm.
for that reason. So the developers are guaranteeing those monthly fees as long as they're in charge of the board. So definitely that first year, that's what that looks like. Um, and then it's all your standard cosmetic, 1 year warranties,
Right,
and then
right.
they'll have other building warranties as well from the companies that they're using. And
What
then,
kind of, I was going to say,
oh,
what kind of standard maintenance then is included in there? Obviously, the common living areas, the cleaning the outside. There's really no lawn maintenance on an individual basis, but for the property, pool care, that kind of stuff.
yeah, I don't know like the fine details of what those
Uh-huh.
warranties look like. They have partnered with Hoyt
Okay.
Architects as well that has done a lot of big buildings in our area as well. So I'm sure a lot of it is covered for, more than just the one
Hmm.
year as well. But
Right.
I could definitely circle back to you on those.
Okay. How does, and we
Once you
talked
have
a little
it
bit about it
open.
early, yeah. How does the development integrate with the local community? What are you seeing? Any input from the area as to what they want to see come out of the Akoya, and in any partnerships that Akoya has with anybody in the area?
Um, to be honest, I'm not too sure how of people in the area. I've had some calls from people that will be like, "Oh, I'm so glad to see this coming to our
Right.
neighborhood," and things like that. But as far as um, my involvement with, that community and the building up there
Hmm.
is limited.
Okay. Well, I think, when we talked about the change and what's going on, uh, over the years, with buildings either being banded or left, and a uh, revitalization of the whole area, having something like this goes in is a huge upgrade for, what was there, both visually, aesthetically, and commercially.
Yeah, for sure.
What environmental considerations were prioritized during planning construction? Are you aware of any? Sometimes you have things going in, or like, oh, we have wetlands here, we're doing these things. Is there anything that was a big impact from where this goes?
I feel like that falls a little bit more on like the development side,
Okay.
which I wasn't so much a part of.
Sure.
I can't imagine there was like a whole lot. Like we're actually, you know, you're like a 10-minute walk to the bay, but we aren't in a
Right.
flood zone and we're actually have a pretty high elevation.
Hmm.
So I would think, you know, it's more just they're thinking of ways to heavily landscape, the east side of the building and with like setbacks and things like that.
Right.
And they've been thinking of ways more to like beautify the current area
Okay.
along with the building.
Any specific guidelines or restrictions for the homeowners, like any pet or rental regulations? I know you mentioned rental a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So with the pet policy, you are allowed to have two pets up to 50 pounds each. So kind of a nice size
Hmm.
there. For rentals, like I said, we have a flexible rental policy for 30% of the units. They have the option to um, be in a short-term rental policy. So right now, like for the city of Sarasota, that's a 1 week minimum. And then
Okay.
outside of that 30%, it's a 1 month minimum. So you have that choice. Like if you go under contract and you want to use this as short term, you'll let us know so we can put you on that list.
Right.
And so then you can exercise that right. And then what's also nice about it is you don't have to own your condo for any amount of time before you're able to rent.
Mhm.
Whereas, if you're in downtown Sarasota, it's not uncommon to have to own your condo for 2 years before you're
Mhm.
able to rent. And a lot of times those rental restrictions are a lot harder. Like you might have to do a 3 month period and you can maybe only do that one time a year and things like
Right.
that. So
Right.
they
A
wanted
lot
to
more
give some
flexible.
yeah, they
Yeah.
wanted to give some flexibility to that.
Can you share any stories or testimonials from current residents or buyers that highlight their experiences, their positive experiences, and what they were looking for, and how how the Akoya is the place for them?
Yeah, I think I guess it's a little early on since they
Right,
haven't
right.
like the finished product or anything like that, but I think they've been excited for the location and what the proximity is to downtown, and then also the price point and the value of the building. Like, you just cannot get these prices
Hmm.
just a few minutes south of us, and then
Right.
also have it be brand new. Like, new has always been kind of an attraction for our market.
Yeah, and then the size and location of these seems really well thought out and placed. I've been in the area for 40 years, and knowing that you can go 30 minutes either way, even in by the water, and have that kind of location and accessibility is, there's not a lot of places that can do that, and certainly not at that price point.
Yeah. So definitely refreshing. And like, the developers are really great guys. They definitely have been very thoughtful, like, throughout their, design process and things like that. So hasn't been anything like really overlooked.
Awesome. What else would you like to say about the Akoya and coming to Sarasota and the Suncoast?
Oh, I mean, that is a great question. I think, you're part of something really special here. We're seeing a big reshaping of that North Trail, and that just, really makes Akoya such a phenomenal opportunity at this time. Because once you see that change, then, all those prices tend to
Hmm.
go up from there. So, and historically, new construction has always done very well in our town.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you, Vicki, for coming out talking about the Akoya. We'll have all contact information in the show notes, so that anybody has any questions or wants more information, they'll be able to reach out.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks so much for having me, Jim.
Thanks for coming on.